Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel where we talk about skincare, grooming, sometimes hair, so if that sounds like your thing, make sure you are subscribed. If you aren't already, go and follow me on Instagram. I post product reviews, skincare routines, and we get to be a bit more personal in the comments section. There's a lot of stuff over there that you're not going to see here on YouTube. So I have genetically oily skin, which means it's just ingrained in me. I didn't develop it randomly in my adulthood. It's just genetics. However, it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. It used to be awful, like it looked like you cooked bacon on my face, that kind of greasy heavy oil. But yeah, now I'm at a place in my life where I don't have to wipe my face every 5 minutes. I actually enjoy the oils that are on my face. So in this video, I'm gonna share my personal tips on how I deal with and care for my oily skin and how I went from a super oily faced person to someone who has nice natural oils, I like to think. Basically, I no longer worry about how oily my face is looking. And that really is the key here. My tips are on how to work with oily skin rather than get rid of it. I found that the more you mucked around with your skin and the more you try to strip your skin of oil and completely get rid of it, the more troubles you have with oil and the more oil you find on your skin. So let's start right from the beginning of my oily skin journey and let's talk about cleansing. So my first tip is to avoid harsh cleansers, but I'm actually going to extend this to sebum control products and cleansers and oil control products and cleansers, or mattifying products as well. If you watched one of my previous videos about products I hate, you will have seen that I mentioned the brand Clean and Clear. In particular, their astringents. Now these are heavy alcohol-based sort of toners. I don't want to give toners a bad name, but they literally strip your skin of oil. And I used to love this. I used to love that matte look that it would give my skin after a few wipes of this astringent. So yeah, it will leave it shine free and oil free, which sounds perfect. But oh my god, it's probably the worst thing you can do for oily skin, and I learned this the hard way. My skin would look matte for a good hour, and then I'd go to school or college, whatever, and my skin would be just drenched in oil. The more I stripped my skin of the oil, the harsher it would come back. It would come back for revenge. And then the more I did this in the long run, the quicker my face would just recreate that oil. And yeah, mattifying and sebum control products did exactly the same thing. So here's what I did. Obviously, I stopped using alcohol heavy oil stripping, mattifying, sebum and oil controlling products. So I actually started using cleansers that were more of a gel texture and cleansers that were kind of labeled low pH and sensitive, because in general, in my local pharmacy, I would find that these cleansers were minimal ingredients, just the basics, and they wouldn't strip the skin of your natural moisture. So in turn, my natural oils were left on my face, therefore my skin wouldn't go crazy throughout the rest of the day and become suddenly super oily. My next tip is that you still should wear a moisturizer. One of the main comments I get on my videos when I introduce a moisturizer is something along the lines of like, that looks great, but I can't use that moisturizer, I have oily skin. Which I get, I really do. But I personally saw such a big difference when I used a moisturizer twice a day rather than just skipping any kind of moisturizer altogether. So moisturizer is important because your skin kind of needs it to help it function as a protective barrier, which is what our skin is. As someone with oily skin, if you don't ever moisturize, your skin is going to become super oily. Giving my skin moisture helped so much more in the long run. For the first couple of weeks, my skin felt messy and heavy and oily, but altogether, within a few weeks, I felt like it really helped balance out my natural sebum production somehow. My skin just felt a lot more comfortable with moisturizers. So when we think of moisturizers, we think of heavy, greasy, oily moisturizers. They're not all like that, so it is important to get the right moisturizer for you. So this is where gel moisturizers come in. They are water-based and not oil-based, so they're still going to give you hydration to the skin, but without that heavy, oily, thick consistency feeling. So you can use this in the morning and the night. I personally used to use a gel moisturizer in the morning when I was extremely oily, and then a thicker one at night. So yeah, as I keep saying, in the long run this helped. Nowadays I can go outside with a thick moisturizer on and a sunscreen over the top, and my oily skin deals with absolutely fine. This wasn't a quick thing, it took maybe 6 months for my skin to really enjoy moisturizing, nourishing products. Hydrating toners are also a good step to use here. So nowadays you get toners that literally have moisturizer in them. These are perfect for summer where you want to hydrate and you have to wear sunscreen, but you want your skin to feel light. So you can use your cleanser, you can use your hydrating toner, and then you can use a sunscreen over the top. Speaking of sunscreen, as someone with oily skin, sunscreen is probably one of the hardest products. A comfortable sunscreen is probably one of the hardest products to get for an oily face. It's not a nice feeling, and we know it's not a nice feeling on oily skin, but there really is no argument here that you have to use a sunscreen. So here are a few tips for picking a good sunscreen for your face. I think with sunscreen, you have to go to that extra mile and extra effort to find a good one and to get hold of a good sunscreen for your face. You can use ones for your body, for your face, but remember the skin on our body is a lot different to the skin on our face, and it can feel horrible, horrible, horrible on your face. So here's a few tips. Number one, pick a sunscreen with moisturizing benefits and not the other way around. So we're not talking about a moisturizer with SPF in it. So nowadays, you find a lot of nourishing moisturizing sunscreens. A perfect example is the Aloe Soothing Sunscreen from COSRX. I've shared this many a time, but it is extremely moisturizing, and that's because they have moisturizing ingredients in it. So this is perfect in summer where you kind of don't want to layer up too much. You still get that moisture that your skin craves. The problem with sunscreen in moisturizer is that you're not really getting the right percentage of sunscreen that you need to use on your face. A rough guide to how much sunscreen you should be using on your face is half to a full teaspoon. That's sunscreen alone, so that's not moisturizer with sunscreen built in. So when you think that it's kind of like integrated into a moisturizer, you're gonna have to use a lot more moisturizer than you usually would to get the correct percentage of SPF on your face. And as someone with oily skin, we don't want to be putting on any more moisturizer than we have to. So whilst moisturizers with SPF may be good for the winter months, cloudier months, kind of when like the UV index is under like 3 or something like that, in summer, if you live in a hot country, you need to use a separate SPF. Second tip for picking a sunscreen is to go Korean or Japanese with your brand. Now, you guys know I love Korean skincare, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a big Korean skincare fan. Korean and Japanese sunscreen is some of the best because I feel like they've been experimenting with it and formulating for such a long time, and they take it very, very seriously. Certain regulations allow them to be more modern with what they are allowed to put in their sunscreens, and much more exciting, new, and fascinating ingredients that they don't allow in the Western world. The Western world is very behind or late to the sunscreen game compared to these countries. I've shown you the COSRX Aloe sunscreen, which is of course Korean, but here are a few of my favorite Korean sunscreens. Give them a go. The formula's completely different. It's lightweight and just glides on so nice onto oily skin, and you don't feel it on your skin. Next tip to control oily skin is to not blot or wipe your skin. Again, another really difficult one to do when you have oily skin. I used to swear by the kind of like blue blotting grease paper things just to get all the oil off my face. I don't think there's necessarily anything bad with blotting your skin all the time, but the problem here is it's a very short-term result to a long-term solution. So if you're anything like me, I used to find that I'd blot my skin and then 5 minutes later, my oil would all be straight back. So it just got tedious and annoying to be constantly having to check on my skin, check on how shiny my nose and my forehead was. So a great alternative that I used to use and still do use sometimes is misting your skin instead. Now, facial mists are there to kind of help nourish, hydrate, moisturize, regulate sebum production as well, and they have a nice cooling effect on your skin, so great if you live in a warmer country. And they just tend to keep everything balanced. So anytime you want to wipe or blot your face, blot it, spritz your skin with the mist, then with clean hands gently pat that in. And you're gonna find that this instantly refreshes your face. It turns that oiliness into a glow. And again, you're giving your skin hydration rather than starving it of hydration. And I just found, again, for some reason, the more I gave my skin hydration, the less oils it would produce. So yeah, and you'll have to do this every couple of hours rather than every few minutes. And of course, exfoliate. I have a whole video on exfoliation, which I'll link with a card hard, whatever side that's on. But when you have oily skin, it's super important to exfoliate to unclog your pores, because we're more blackhead prone, we're more spot prone. But yeah, more about that in my exfoliation 101 video. But I would highly recommend a BHA chemical exfoliator for you with oily skin. And finally guys, remember to embrace the glow. That's what we're calling it, a glow, not an oily sheen. So yeah, as I mentioned, I personally found that the more I tried to fight against my oils, the more they would come back 10 times worse. So enjoy the glow, enjoy moisturizers, enjoy oils, enjoy hydration. But yes, I hope that helps. In the meantime, check out the playlist to the side here and also my latest video. My videos are always a discussion, so please discuss in the comments below and make sure you are following me over on Instagram. But that is it for me now, guys. I will see you next time.